Hi everyone.
Hello, everyone.
This week we are focusing on the second subject or point or issue uh, of what we've picked up that the mystics through the ages wanted to convey to us. It's almost as if they said, "Come and sit here. I want to tell you something. If you can understand, if you can integrate these matters into your life, we've discovered it through our practices and our life, and if you can
Fathom it.
fathom
Yeah.
or grasp it in
Mm.
some way, it will help your life so much. It will help you so much. So, the second thing that we want to focus on this week is that we don't need to be perfect in order to be loved or in order to be acceptable in the eyes of God, but also in our own eyes or in the eyes of other people. We don't need to be perfect. What we need to be is authentic.
Mm. Mm.
Uh, and that is what the mystics wanted to convey.
Mm.
And what they've experienced and what meant a lot to them.
Yeah, and I think it meant a lot to them because it influenced their relationship with God.
Yes,
It wasn't that striving for being good, for doing everything right, for ticking off the uh,
the
everything that
boxes.
that a good Christian should be doing. It was more of a authentic, uh, call it parent-child relationship where the child could be a child, the child could
Mm,
be learning and making mistakes and God being there and appreciating where you are in your life. And I
mm.
think that is what we often, I think it culturally, um, we were brought up like that, but it's also has to do, I think, with our definition of what sin is.
Mm,
Like we
mm,
said last week,
mm,
sin being the word sin meaning to miss the mark.
mm, mm,
If you using a bow and arrow and you're missing the mark, and if you look at sin in that respect, then not understanding that you may be who you are and how you are, um, will be will be getting the mark,
yes.
will be hitting the bullseye.
That is what God hopes for us.
Yeah,
God wishes, God hopes that we grow into our authentic selves with our own quirks and
yeah, yeah.
strangeness and everything, where I don't look like other people, where I don't behave like other people, but where I am myself.
Mm, mm.
Um,
Because I think there's very few things that kills one's spirit and one's joy and energy for life as much as perfectionism, as trying
mm,
to always do the right thing, the good thing, living up to, I think, especially our own expectations, but the expectations that we think God has and other people have and our society have. Um, and is it St. Irenaeus that said, the glory of God is a man fully, a person fully alive.
yes.
And to be fully alive, you cannot be constantly in this mindset of just doing the right thing all the time. I think for some of the types on the Enneagram, especially like the one
Mm.
with a black white thinking, it's always this balancing act of what is it right, is it wrong, can it be better, should I do more, and
Is the, does this make me acceptable?
yeah,
Does
yeah,
this
is
make
it
me
good enough,
lovable?
yeah. And I think all the types have different
Mm,
perfectionisms going, isn't it?
mm, mm.
Yeah.
And when we look carefully at it, we see the relationship with God as a transaction. I'll do this and then you'll do that to me. It can't be grace. There must be something given. I must come before you as a perfect person, a person that at least tries to be perfect. I've done, I can show you the work, and maybe there's a little bit of mercy on your side. It doesn't look like much. I know myself. This isn't perfect. Far from it, Lord. This isn't perfect, but at least you can see I tried. And God, it's a matter of, all right, fine, but tell me, how did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
Because the moment we move into perfectionism, we move into a rigidness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It becomes stiff,
Yeah.
and spontaneity and creativity and surprise, it flies out the door.
And it colors our picture, our image of God. Because
Yes.
what we are saying, in effect, is that God is perfect. I must be perfect.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm thinking of that beautiful poem. I can't remember by who it is. Is it Hafiz or one of that says, "Throw away your begging bowls.
Hafiz.
Throw away your begging bowls at God's door, because God doesn't see us as beggars.
No.
He sees us as children. But we have this image of us never being good enough."
Yes.
And it colors our picture with other people, with ourselves, with God especially, and it keeps us from reaching the mark.
Yeah. And in all fairness, it can be that you grew up in a household where your parents expected perfectionism. It can be that you had a teacher that conveyed that message. And somehow we must get rid, or we have to cancel that message.
Yeah.
And we have to come to terms with the fact that God doesn't expect us to be perfect. That's not what God wants from us.
I think there is no, like you say, it's not transactional. And in a relationship, a loving relationship, it's not transactional. It's not, if you do enough of this, you will be acceptable in my eyes.
Yes.
So it's almost like a hiding behind Jesus as well, in order for us to be good enough. But we are missing the relationship also as children of God.
Yes.
In that sense.
Yes. Yes. And the beauty is that there where we fell, there where we failed, there where we stumbled, somehow, and that is the beauty of God's relationship with us, through that we grow and expand, and we discover what love is. So that is an actual fact. God enters through the hole in the soul.
Yeah, yeah. And is it Julian of Norwich that says, "Oh, perfect sin"? And it shocks you coming from the background that we come from. But to look at it in that respect, Richard Rohr's book, Falling Upward, that in the failing, in the making mistakes, there can be growth, much more growth than always trying to do the perfect thing.
Yes, yes. And it is really, it's a journey, because before we know it, we fall into the trap of trying to be perfect. We
it's
see
ingrained.
that when we talk about this, I always think of the pottery workshops. And Matilda is very careful that I scare you in giving this example.
He calls it an exercise. I call it a game, where we just to start off with, and it's really a game. It's just moving into more the right brain and into the inner child playful part, and we take a piece of clay and we do something with eyes closed. We make something with eyes closed.
So the intellect gets
Yeah,
cancelled.
yeah, and it is just amazing to see the authenticity and the maker's marks and everything that is so. It's perfect in its imperfection.
Oh, it's
Really,
beautiful. It's
it's
so
so
beautiful.
beautiful. We must take a picture of this beautiful bird that someone made that was here on retreat this
Yeah,
week. It's just it has something that it wouldn't have had if we made it with open eyes, because we would be controlling it,
it is.
trying to make it perfect.
Yeah. And we see it in our own work. The moment we slip out of that creative space and we become over obsessed in making this perfect, we lose something.
And we kill it.
We kill it.
Yeah.
It becomes rigid. It
Yeah.
becomes stiff. It loses something of that vitality. There's a vitality,
A fully aliveness.
a fully aliveness in its imperfection, but there's movement. God works with a paradox. So if we, with mentioning this, listening to the mystics, we can be aware this coming week of our own striving to be perfect. Maybe that's a step forward.
Just notice it.
Yes, yes. But you say people might think, on hearing this, they might come up with an objection.
Yes, they might be thinking, okay, so if I'm allowed to just do anything, which is not exactly what we said, but if I'm allowed to be imperfect, won't that make me completely reckless? So I think that would be a good next conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. All right. Talk again next
Keep well,
week.
everyone. Bye-bye.